Hello, fabulous superstar Leo. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of November 2025. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Synchronicity University is proud to present some absolutely incredible programs starting this month over at synchronicityuniversity.com with me looking at past lives in the astrology chart part 3. Mark Lawrenson, super popular superstar astrologer, teaching on the astrology of intimacy, and these incredible speakers only at synchronicityuniversity.com. Links below. The 5th of the month brings with it this month's full moon. This full moon takes place at the top of your sky, having to do with career, social standing, life purpose, and your understanding of a higher, more loving vision for your life. It is the goals that you have and how you go about achieving them. And it also represents your understanding of success, how you might uniquely define it. And so when we have important celestial activity in this part of the sky, well, it tends to represent a heightened visibility, but also a quality that awakens sacred ambition. Having a full moon here brings that much more visibility and brings matters to fruition in some way. Think back 6 months earlier, you would have had a new moon here, and it is the new things you put into place that feel like they come together or reach a natural conclusion at this time. Full moons are always the truth of what you really feel. Sometimes it's been staring at you this whole time. But the wonderful thing about this full moon is it actually is quite harmonious. It is speaking in harmony with Jupiter, in harmony with Saturn. And these placements suggest that there's a sense of openness that is playing out at this time and a sense of consequence. And Saturn itself is about the slow and steady gains, and it's about gains that last. Jupiter is very expansive, but Jupiter right now is in the sign just before yours, where Saturn is a deeply transformative part of the sky, or at least is moving through that part of the sky right now. All of these energies to the top of the sky, well, you can see here, it can be a time of power, of purpose, of direction, of being willing to make some well-calculated, well-earned power move. But some of the best opportunities are going to feel like they come out of nowhere, representing blessings of sorts. Now that blessing just might be the chance to shoot your shot, as they say, a chance to make an impression, a chance to interview, a chance to audition. And the more it is that you can anchor that in what you've already demonstrated, the more likely it is that you are to make that many more gains. Interestingly, on the 7th of the month, a retrograde Uranus is going to move back into this same part of the sky, the top of your sky. And for the most part, since 2018, we've had Uranus in this part of your sky, bringing a sense of revelation, of insight, of breakthrough energy, of change energy, and surprise energy, where it comes to all of these matters I just mentioned, career and a sense of purpose and more. It has been since July that Uranus first stepped into a friendship part of your sky. And that is going to be its own 7-year journey. But right now, it's like Uranus is retrograding back to where he's been to kind of wrap up some loose ends. It will be in April of 2026 that Uranus will leave this part of your sky, moving more comfortably into that friendship area of life. Uranus will not move back into the top of your sky for about 8 decades to come. So use this time well, this time that invites you to look at what kind of breakthroughs you're really going for, what it is that you actually consider success to be, and what needs to change to get you there. Embracing the unpredictable and the inspiration that finds you seemingly randomly can be a big part of aligning you with that success as you uniquely define it. But also, I call Uranus the shake-up and the wake-up. There might be some shake-ups, including with bosses and people in positions of authority at this time. But ultimately, it invites you to embrace your inner boss and to find the pathway towards you taking on greater authority, greater leadership, that much more direct, that much more quick becomes possible here as well. On the 9th of the month, Mercury goes retrograde. Here we are again. And as Mercury goes retrograde, first in fellow fire sign Sagittarius, that has to do with getting honest with yourself about what you want in your heart of hearts in every area of life, seeing it more deeply, more clearly at this time. On the 19th, a retrograde Mercury will move into the foundation of the chart, having to do with your past, your living situation, and your family of origin, your parents in particular, where that applies. And a retrograde Mercury will stay retrograde here at the foundation of the chart right to the 29th, at which time Mercury will go direct. This makes this connection to Mercury retrograde in the past that much more pronounced for you, where people you might have been connected with long ago, especially going back to childhood, for example, well, in seemingly random moments, you might find yourself running into them or hearing from them or having key interactions with them, especially at this time. It can also represent a moment where it feels as if there's random interactions or surprise reunions with people you consider family, especially family of origin types of people. It could give you a chance to reconnect with some of these people and to find a newfound sense of meaningfulness in those connections. Now, as Mercury retrogrades at the foundation of the chart, as soon as Mercury moves into this part of the sky on the 19th, it's the following day on the 20th, that we are going to have a new moon, hand in hand with that Mercury. The new moon is part of a larger grand trine configuration, which is supremely harmonious, and it is going to be at the foundation of the chart, the new moon and Mercury and Venus not too far away. And it is going to be Neptune and Saturn that are both in a deeply transformative emotional part of your sky, a wealth-oriented part of the sky. And it is going to be Jupiter that is in the sign just before yours, having to do with karmic blessings and fortunate closures. All of these planets communicating together, but really all of these planets are fueling that new moon energy, which means also fueling that Mercury retrograde energy. And all of that suggests that you understanding your past differently, or you anchoring yourself in your past to allow even more meaningful change to take place at this time. You having a sense of what can heal, grow, change, where you could move forward, become something more, become something different by realizing and reinterpreting your past on your own terms. And I think that is going to be a key part of this energy, as this new moon and Mercury retrograde are going to be standing across the sky from Uranus. That is a surprise a minute, shock a minute kind of energy. Now, in a very practical way, for some Leos, this might show up in terms of buying, selling, moving, attracting a new roommate. The opportunity to do one of these things might feel like it shows up by surprise. You've got to react very quickly to a moment. However, Mercury is retrograde. And what that means is all is not clear. If it is that it shows up for you to do and you can't really help it, well, then you want to honor your life. You want to respect the fact that you have to do what you've got to do. But if you can help it, it might be a good idea not to sign contracts or reach agreements just yet, because what it looks like when Mercury's retrograde, it just might look very different once Mercury goes direct before the month is out. But not only that, sometimes what we want changes, or we realize certain details that we hadn't appreciated before while Mercury was retrograde. And if it is something of great consequence, and especially if it's something brand new, that's where you do want to be mindful. Now, sometimes it can be that what we think it is and what it actually is are different, but actually what ends up being is better. That is sometimes the case. But regardless of whether you judge it as better or not, it is going to be different. And it might feel as if there's a moment that you've got to respond to or react to very quickly in an instant, especially under the light of the new moon. However, take a moment, if possible, to ask yourself if it really is and if it really does hold that urgency or not. That's going to go a really long way towards helping you to understand what it is that you might want to do with the maximum sense of awareness that you can bring. On the 11th of November, Jupiter will go retro. Jupiter goes retro in the sign just before yours. So throughout this month, Jupiter appears to essentially be standing still. Jupiter appears closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. It is at the height of his power in many ways. And Jupiter here and its magnified energies is about fortunate karmic closures, closing karmic ties, ending karmic chapters. And it is about intuition. It's about what's happening on levels of soul, psyche, and spirit. Some of the best stuff, some of the brightest blessings are just going to show up. But the blessing really is, especially with Jupiter going retrograde here, no less, is what you come to understand on a deeper level. What you realize has changed within you, and where you feel your own energy shift, where you are allowing certain closures, perhaps closures that took place a long time ago, perhaps resentments that you've been holding going back a while. You realize that it just isn't the case anymore, that something within you is shifted. Now, that can be a powerful type of freedom. That can be a powerful type of openness. I want you to consider this as well. It is going to be next year in June that Jupiter will enter your sign. Once Jupiter enters your sign, that is a game changer of an energy, because that represents a brand new 12-year cycle of greater optimism, of hope, of possibility, of openness, with a new sense of understanding whom it is that you truly are, what it is that you truly want, just opening up to you in important ways. And so stay open to that possibility. But between now and then, it's quite a few months to go, and it speaks very powerfully to where it is now that the universe desires to create space for all that new and next to find you, which really, you and I both know, you blink and we are going to be there. Where it comes to matters of love, I'm going back to that part of the sky that has to do with what you want in your heart of hearts. Now, that includes romantically as well. You are one of the signs that needs to be mindful that breakups that happen tend to not stay broken up under this energy. That certainly is the case for you now. And it is, as Mercury is moving through that heart-oriented part of the sky for you from the 9th to the 19th, that is when random reconnections, interactions with people that you might have been connected to before, unlikely connected to in the context of partnership, but rather people you might have dated, people who were lovers perhaps, or people you were interested in. These are the types of people where you might find yourself having random interactions with where you least expect it. However, once Mercury does move into the foundation of your chart, and by that point, we're going to have Venus there as well, love and the past become intimately tied. And whether it is that you yourself are examining that much more deeply what has been in love so that you can decide what stays and what goes as you move forward, or whether it is that reconnections are taking place with people you were romantically connected with before. With Mercury retrograde, it's always a good idea to just see how it is and where it is love pops up for you, rather than it being about the directions in which you desire to take things and you being proactive with it. Mercury retrograde isn't always the time to be proactive. Even if it's hard to resist it, I would invite you to consider that. Another layer of consideration, and that is on the 4th of the month, Mars will move into this same part of the sky, having to do with what you want in your heart of hearts in every area of life. And as Mars moves in here, it brings with it courage, it brings with it determination and a greater impetus to have more fun, to have more romantic moments, and where the situation calls for, connect with new people. That becomes especially true if it is that you're open to meeting someone new. You might surprise yourself by the courage you're able to summon, and the desire that you have to connect with others can have you taking chances or being especially bold in ways that you might not always embrace. But for all that, we also have energies here that speak to you wanting to understand more deeply where your heart has been, what worked and what didn't. And I think the Mercury retrograde in particular emphasizes this. And as part of that, there might be interactions with people that you are connected to in your past, particularly people that you dated. Now, a big part of the reason just might be so that you get another look and you get to see what it was, how it was that things didn't work out, and whether or not that actually ended up being a good thing. For those of you just starting to date someone, there's a lot of motivation here to connect with this person, to have fun with this person, or maybe even being open to new people as well, enjoying the company of others. For all that, though, know that there's that Mercury retrograde. And so whatever you think is happening, whatever you think it is, I would invite you to wait until you get into December in particular. Once it is that Mercury is direct and returns to this heart-oriented part of the sky for you, you just might see what's taking place this month differently in some way at that time. Because this is where if you feel like, you're not really sure, it doesn't really feel like anything's really happening, you'll be able to at least understand why you felt that way. And you might change your mind at that time. But if it feels as if everything is bliss and amazing and you are all systems go, Mercury goes direct and you see this person in this situation very differently, in some cases in an instant. And it is those of you who are in an established bond, the desire to be connected romantically, the desire to do things together that fortify the heart level connection, could have the two of you being especially determined to have those romantic moments together. There is going to be that small percent. If you felt that you might not be in the right relationship for you, remember, given where it is that Mercury is going retrograde, it becomes that much more likely that misunderstandings, miscommunications become possible. And however you might be evaluating things this month, once that Mercury goes direct, you might see things or understand things very differently. That might take you further towards this person that you're in relationship with, or have you going another way. But at least by the time we get to Mercury direct, you'll be a lot more clear as to what it is that's been going on and what it is that you want to do next. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I'm going to say, I think Mars moving into that heart-oriented part of the sky for you is powerful. Now, that part of the sky also has to do with gambling and windfalls. Be careful with that because, as I said earlier, Mercury spends part of its retrograde in this part of the sky from the 19th to the 29th, at which time Mercury goes direct here. So if you are placing a bet of any kind, taking a risk of any kind, you might not be evaluating the stakes accurately in some way. Never bet the farm. Always feel like you are in an energy and a space of possibility and prosperity to make the most of this energy. And yet, because Mars is here throughout this month and into next as well, the possibility for losses feels higher than usual. I'm so sorry to say, but it does happen. Just be mindful, be cognizant that this energy is playing out, and find ways to channel the energy of excitement in ways that serve you, in ways that connect you to heart and remind you just how brave you can be and how exciting life can get. Thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate over at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expansive, exclusive video scopes each week for each sign for as low as just $3 a month. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, links below. A limited number of consultations are available with me between now and the end of the year, online on my website, nadiyashah.com, and in person this month in Montreal, Canada. You can learn more and sign up for yours now, link below. Thank you again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.